How was yesterday? How did the team respond in practices?
Yeah, yesterday was an off day from team practice, but I know the players spent some time, and we had an early session this morning. We're in final exams right now, so our practice schedule is a little non-traditional. We met as a team this morning, and then we'll have a practice this afternoon. And so, yeah, not to repeat everything we talked about the other night, but to me, this whole thing starts with expectations. And then once everybody's on the same page there, then I think you have to have a plan. And one of the parts, not only our plan this season, but every plan I've ever been a part of, both as a player, assistant coach, head coach, is discipline. Discipline's going to be a big part of our plan. Again, people think discipline. You think, going down to the principal's office in junior high when you got in trouble, but discipline's so much more than that. I mean, discipline's doing the right thing, the thing you're taught to do, the thing that others are depending on you to do, and do it every time to the best of your ability. And so I think that's just where our program is a lot, and 2 nights ago, the games, I think we're up 17 with 6 minutes left, and we got a chance to blow the game open. Then, I think we're outscored something like 19-11 in the last 6 minutes. And when you go back and really look at that segment of the game, it's just discipline. I mean, 4 guys doing the right thing, 1 guy takes a play off. 3 guys doing the right thing, 2 players take a play off. So this game, in my opinion, it's not about, making shots or getting every rebound, but it's absolutely about being aggressive and making the fewest mistakes you can. And another way to look at those 2 categories is, are you disciplined? And are you disciplined enough to bring it every day? And then are you disciplined enough to try to play the game in the cleanest way possible? So that's where our team is, and the opportunities continue. We got a chance to practice twice here in Oxford this week, travel day to Orlando on Saturday, then we play a Big 12 opponent on the road on Sunday. So in my mind, this week will show a lot about where our team is and where it's heading.
What kind of challenges does UCF present?
Yeah, a really good team. It starts with Coach. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's built programs. And so, obviously, we have a lot of respect for him. It doesn't take long when you see the team play that they're well coached. They have an identity. In terms of personnel, it's a Big 12 team. Got great size, great guard play, good point guard play, and their scoring comes in a variety of ways. So, to me, having been in the Big 12 for most of my career, I understand what that means. Just like the SEC, it's one of the best leagues in the country. So when you start talking about playing a Big 12 opponent, that's a great challenge. And you start talking about playing on their home floor, it even intensifies the challenge. So to me, it's opportunity week. It's a great game. I'm glad the game was scheduled. It gives us a chance to kind of see where we're at against a team that we have a lot of respect for.
Going off that, I know you try to stay in the present, but when you look at the rest of the non-conference schedule and what y'all have done so far, is there a certain type of team and style of basketball or a certain type of personnel that y'all have yet to face yet?
I'd have to think about that one. I pretty much one-track mind. I couldn't even tell you who we play after our trip to Orlando. But yeah, I mean, certainly, in that period between when the non-conference ends and when SEC play starts, we'll break down a lot of film during that time. We'll show our guys that we've played, different styles. So, when we played against a really, really pressured defense here in a few weeks in an SEC, we played against that before somewhere in our non-conference schedule. So I'm sure there's similarities, but that's not something I've really thought about.
You probably just answered this, but I'm curious, as a coach, do you, like the SEC's got a lot of big intersectional games coming up and that kind of thing, do you pay attention to how the league's doing in terms of conference power ratings and those kind of things, knowing that might come into play in March?
I do personally, not necessarily a part of the job, but just a part of who I am. I mean, college basketball and NBA basketball is kind of my hobby too. So, yeah, to answer your question, I do pay attention to how the teams in the league are doing, and as well as some of my friends in coaching, whether it's a former assistant, it's a head coach, or in today's college basketball, we have a lot of players out there playing in other programs that we absolutely pull for. And Kev's at Kansas, and TJ's at Illinois, and Vlad's in Florida, and so we have a lot of players too. So yeah, I think Absolutely, you always pull for the SEC, and so I can't speak for others. This league's not the most friendly league. It's not like we got, Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas texts, and I understand that's a business. But I choose to live my life a little bit. I can't speak about others. I choose to live my life like, I pull for other guys. I've always thought that's the way the game is. You compete in recruiting, you compete on the floor, but then when you play the game, there's a lot of guys, including some guys in the SEC, that I absolutely respect and pull for.
There's a lot of talk about just how loaded the Big 12 is, like the power rankings and that kind of thing. What have you thought of the SEC from what you've watched so far?
Just haven't competed in the league yet, but my familiarity starts with the teams that we've competed against before. I mean, I understand what Rick Barnes is all about and has been about his whole career, and have a lot of respect for Coach. He's actually one of my mentors, and that's accurate to say. Just a lot of coaches in this league that I've followed their teams, not only where they're coaching now, but before. Obviously in recruiting, the SEC's got great players. I think it's accurate to say there's more NBA players from SEC schools on rosters, and all that's real. I mean, you look at every SEC team. There's NBA players, there's NBA prospects, there's young NBA talent. So, I've been really impressed. I haven't started traveling to these venues and stuff, but I just think from my eyes and what I've seen, I think I've seen everybody in the league play 2 or 3 times. I think our league has a chance to be one of, if not the best league in college basketball, and all that will be determined. Now it's fun to talk about and look at, and these rankings, they don't mean anything until you get to mid-December, late December, and then you come up for air. And conference play is what college basketball is all about.
Chris, I know you can't talk specifics, but just overall, just through these last 8 games, 8-0 start, one of 2 teams in the SEC, I think, still unbeaten, maybe one. Just kind of what's been the general kind of.
Who else is undefeated in the SEC right now?
Nobody.
Just you.
Just what's kind of just I know you can't talk specifics, but what's kind of just been the.
Start texting me 20 minutes before the press conference, and I'll catch you up to what I know. What you got?
Oh, just I know you can't talk specifics. What's just been the general kind of recruit responses that this program's on right now?
Yeah, recruiting's going well. We're really proud of our fall class with John and Klafke, and we're actively recruiting a lot of players. Not only the 24 class, but we're just living in that 25 class right now and doing a lot of evaluation in the 26 class. And so I think, to answer your question, absolutely. Some success with your record or some success with our home attendance. We've had a lot of recruits say that they saw our NC State and Memphis game and the Tad Pad game and seen some of our crowds and have noticed the student section and what we're building here. So absolutely, I think there's always a relationship between how your current team's playing and recruiting. It's not always just a direct path, but it certainly is a factor. And I know the best players in the world, they want to go somewhere where basketball is important, basketball is valued. And so, recruiting's going well right now. And I've always given the current players a lot of credit when we have recruiting success. They're the guys that host the recruits on the visits, and a lot of our guys have relationships with the players we're recruiting. Basketball is such a small world. These guys play on the circuit in the summer, and even the international players now come and play in some of the global games and the academies. And so it's very rare that we're recruiting somebody that doesn't have some type of relationship with somebody on our current team. And so I'm always appreciative of what our current players are doing in recruiting.
Chris, I guess to my untrained eye anyway, the last 2-3 games, it looks like Juju and Matt have been able to play off each other pretty well. Just as a unit, what do you like about those two and what they're able to bring to your backcourt? How do they impact each other?
Yeah, again, like a broken record, I have very high expectations for our backcourt. When we got here, and I talked to Coach Davis a few times and got a chance to watch every game that Matt had played, basically in his college career. I very high expectations for Matt. I'll leave it at that. And then Juju, we talked about this last time we were all together. Just Juju was an eval recruit for us. We didn't see his name at the top of some list on the internet. We dug in with basketball people and really studied his game. And so I think those two guys as well as our other guards. Austin Nunez continues to improve in practice, and his opportunity will come. It always does, and we're getting good minutes from TJ coming off the bench right now, and we got the positionless players who can play that guard. But I think we're going to have one of the best backcourts in the SEC to compete, and I think we have the pieces. It's just about consistency, and there's a lot of players at this level that can have a great game, and it's the guys that can do it week after week. And so I've always thought like that Player of the Week award is, I don't know, that Player of the Week award's really never meant much to any of the great players I've coached because it's 1 week, and when that thing turns into you get it 2 or 3 straight weeks, now it's time to talk about something. So I think consistency with all our players, but specifically our backcourt, I have really high expectations for our guard play this season.
Any more questions for Coach?
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.